Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, I am a mother of a 23-year-old woman with intellectual disabilities. She's been self-directing for about 5 years, and it's been a generally good situation. I think, as I'm also an attorney, I'm also a support broker. I became a support broker because I couldn't quite figure out what self-direction really was, and people weren't explaining it to me, right? So I took the training and I became a support broker, and I've learned a lot. So, as everyone knows, sometimes, and it's just started happening, I think about 2 years ago,
About 2 years.
about 2 years, yeah. That community classes have all of a sudden the FIs have started not allowing them, not approving them for reimbursement. And it was hard to figure out the reasons for it because the guidance is very clear. The guidance is a technical document. It's sets out the details, the requirements, the standards for finding a community class allowable, any exceptions to that, and it's basically a checkbox. Does it teach a subject? Is it open to the public? Is it there's about five
Criteria.
inquiries that
Mhm.
have to be made, and then several other inquiries that have to be made to see if it's if it should be excluded. Is it a class being taken for college credit, for example? That would exclude it. So there's a very clear guidance that OPWDD put out. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to get rejections based on things that are made up that don't come from the guidance. It looks like this can be provided by ComHab workers. Oh, this is duplicative of a respite service, and all these other problems. And as everyone who's been in self-direction for the past few years and is going for community classes, everyone has seen something. So last year, one one family brought a fair hearing, requested a fair hearing, and received a fair hearing. That was EB, and what did OPWDD came into the fair hearing and said, "Oh no, there's no right for anyone to have a fair hearing. There's no it's a FI decision, and OPWDD has nothing to do with it. It's the FI's decision, so we don't need to have a fair hearing." And the administrative law judge in that case said, that's right, you don't get a fair hearing. And so EB was out of fair hearing. And so EB then went to New York State Supreme Court to bring what's called an Article 78 proceeding to contest that decision, saying that it was arbitrary and capricious, and it was out now.
And I just want to point out one detail here, Marguerite, that when EB went to the fair hearing, they didn't have any support. They didn't have the help of a lawyer. They didn't have
Correct.
the background that we're giving you. So they basically went in defenseless against a lawyer who had honed this argument that, oh, no, you have no right to be here at all.
Right. And which was a ridiculous argument because cases had been brought for fair hearings on community classes before, but as OPWDD is flailing. I mean, they made it up. It didn't make sense. But anyway, so EB went to Article 78. OPWDD then said, "Oh, wait a minute. You can come back. We'll give you a fair hearing." But they had already had a fair hearing. "You come back. We'll give you a fair hearing now." And the New York Supreme Court, New York County dismissed it. It was appealed up to appellate division, and the appellate division said, "Yeah, you go back and have your fair hearing." So that was what was really good about that, is that now we have support saying that when OPWDD says that, "Oh no, you can't have a fair hearing," oh no, there is a fair hearing right. So that was a really good ruling
That's
there.
a win for us.
Yeah,
Right.
that was a good win. Good. The next interesting case that is really good was a case in Suffolk County, AK. And she had taken a class. Various other people in the class had been reimbursed by their FIs for the class, but AK's FI said, no, we're not reimbursing it for, and they really didn't give a great reason, saying something that it's not providing community integration or something that, once again, something that's not in the technical guidance. And the court looked at it and said, in view of the fact that neither the FI nor anyone from OPWDD made any attempt to explain why the petitioner's application for reimbursement was being treated in a different manner, the court determined that that would be to seem to be the very definition of arbitrary and capricious conduct, which
That's a win.
that was great. And whenever any other FIs have found that this is a allowable community class, it gives a lot of strength to the argument that it is a community class.
This was a New York State court case. So
right.
This is what we want. Well, we don't want this. What we want is we want the nonsense to end.
Yes.
But the way to end the nonsense is to get a judge to look at the law and say, you're not behaving right. That's why, to prevent that, is why we believe they dragged EB back into the
right.
fair hearing process. If you have a right to a fair hearing, then they have to issue you a notice of decision when they say no, informing you of that right.
And then the third case I want to mention is one that a fair hearing that I brought last year, and that once again, it was a class. The individual had taken the predecessor class to it. She went to take the spring class, and the FI said, no, you can't take that. It's not open to the public. It was. Now, what changed? What happened? Why was it allowable in the fall and not allowable in the spring? And they just said, well, the training, we just got training and clarified that. We went to fair hearing. The ALJ and it was affirmed by the commissioner of the Department of Health agreed. This is open to the public. And then what was really good about this case is that they went through element by element of how you determine a community class and found that each one was met by this class. The decision of how you determine whether something's a community class is binding on OPWDD and the FIs.
Delay and deny.
That's right.
What's fascinating is in the case that was going into Article 78 that they wanted to drag back, they said, oh, there is a right to a fair hearing, come back to the fair hearing. In the fair hearing that was won, they have now turned around and said there's no right to a fair hearing.
Stymied it.
So they're taking one position or the opposite, depending upon which one they think will prevent progress.
Yeah, I mean, it's
infuriating.
Just that those are the cases that I'm aware of.
Can I add something?
We have a celebrity here.
So I'm the EB case, and we are currently discussing our next steps, and having been thrown back from the first division, whether we go to the top appeals court, which we probably are going to do. So it will be interesting. I think there's seems to be political, you need strong judges to be able to put their foot down and say, wow, this is really exposing some major issues and we want to look at it, rather than make you go back.